Today we are going to continue our discussion of an important concept, supply-demand equilibrium. And I want to talk about this in relationship to last night's game. How many of you watched it?
昨晚有什么球赛？
我也不知道哎。
What a bummer that Justin Lane is leaving us for the NFL.
你知道什么是 NFL 吗？
让我在手机上搜一下看看。
So today we are talking about the supply-demand curve and how the equilibrium price may adjust in response to events. As you can see from the diagram on the board, on the x-axis there is a QD, which stands for quantity demanded, while on the P, on the y-axis, stands for price. Note that the supply curve is upward sloping, while the demand curve is downward sloping. That is to say, the higher the price, the lower the demand. The higher the supply here, the lower the price. You can see this in the diagram because if you move across to the right, if you have a higher supply, your price will drop. One way to think about the effect of events on equilibrium in the supply-demand curve is to consider a parallel from football. Here you have the offense players lined up, and the defense responds by lining up to match the offense's formation to create equilibrium. Now the diagram on the right shows what happens when there is a similar event. Let's say that the defensive middle linebacker or quarterback calls an audible to take advantage of what they see as another alignment in the offense. On defense, the linebacker switches the play, switching his teammates to the left to adjust, just like the equilibrium price does above.
你听得懂教授在讲什么吗？
橄榄球吧，我觉得。
啊？